Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Darren and I've been thinking a little bit about this for quite a while. I never really thought about making a video or really bringing this up as a possible topic of discussion, but I've been thinking about it for a while. Since nothing really come out for World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth information, let alone patch 735, I decided it's a proper time to do it now. And it's a question of, will LIGHTFORGED Draenei and Void Elves have a limited amount of specializations that they can play? Primarily in their priest roles, and maybe possibly paladin roles of sorts. The reason I'm asking this is because we saw the release of allied races. We saw what classes they can play. LIGHTFORGED Draenei's class choices are Hunter, Mage, Paladin, Priest, and Warrior. Priest part is the important one. Void Elf. You have a plethora of classes from Hunter, Mage, Monk, Priest, Rogue, Warlock, Warrior. Warlock is a little finicky. Actually, Warlock is more finicky for Nightborn, which Nightborn can also be Warlocks. My question is, are some allied races going to have specific specs that they just simply cannot play? And the reason I want to discuss this is because we have the paragraph, the 1,000 Years of War, and basically it's called an audio drama. And in the audio drama, they go a bit more about the lore of the game. One of the things I love about World of Warcraft is the lore, and it's great because one of the coolest things is when the game makes sense. Like Pandaren, why do they exist? How do they come from the game? They actually have been in the game since Warcraft 3, so the idea of a Pandaren monk, or even pandas, having their own island surrounded in mist, technically is not impossible. I'm a huge fan of lore, but not because, oh, I love to see how the trolls have evolved and how they have so many tribes, and then all the lore on Tuskarr, and then all the lore on the dwarf. Not really. I don't really care about the lore that much, but I love when the game makes sense. And there's a part in the game that, from a design perspective, I just cannot wrap my head around, primarily regarding LIGHTFORGED Draenei and Void Elves. And what first thing I want to point out to is 1,000 Year of War, the audio drama that is available on MMO Champion, I'm pretty sure. I have a link to the Reddit post that I guess talks about it in real quick succession, but it's just one of those things where they add a bit more lore where they can't portray it in the game. The specific part I am talking about is the idea of the fact that Turelion and Alleria cannot touch each other. Turelion is literally a subservient of the Naru. He is the shiny light bulb guy, but not only like a paladin, he literally represents the Naru. He's light forged, and it's one of those things where we saw the whole cinematic of Illidan destroying the Naru, where the Naru are not quite just a force of good, and Void is not just pure evil. It's a bit of a gray area, but those two repel each other. That's one of the things that we need to remember in here. So Turelion is light forged. He is given into the light, he's a subservient of the light, a warrior, a fighter of it, and he gets the powers of the light, as so do LIGHTFORGED Draenei. They're molded by it. You can even see in the models they have tattoos that are engraved into their skin, basically almost like a demon hunter style. So the idea that Turelion and Alleria, because Alleria is all about the Void, she's basically the disciple of Void of some sort. I don't know about her in that detail, but there was a moment where Alleria was helping Turelion. She pulled him through a void portal. So LIGHTFORGED guy going through, I think, surrounded by void, and I guess the end result wasn't a good one. Light and void collide. They do not touch each other. Turelion and Alleria cannot even hold hands, let alone do other things couples do. So this is one of those things where I'm not sure how it's going to work out with the two new allied races when it comes to Alliance. Particularly Alliance, but I guess we can also talk about the Nightborn. So if Light and Void cannot touch each other, then how are priests going to work for LIGHTFORGED Draenei and Void Elves? If, let's say, Void Elves are disciples of Alleria and they're similar to her to the point where they are so consumed by the Void where the light burns them. I'm not saying, let's say, like a paladin tries to heal a Void Elf and then they just get set on fire, but how would we see a Void Elf playing a Holy Priest, for example? I can maybe see a Disc Priest. Shadow Priest is simply it just literally fits your motif. Having them as rogues is fine too. Hunters is fine. They're pretty neutral. Seeing them as paladins I think would be impossible. Even as warlocks, I guess. So yeah, sure, why not? Void likes to consume and control things, so why not control demons? But how would it work as a holy priest? When you take a look at Legion Priest, some of your abilities have to do with a Naru pet that literally pops out of nowhere and it's like, hi, whatever heals you do, I'll duplicate. How would that work out? A lot of the Holy Priest in terms of class fantasy and design has been designed around the Naru idea. The Shadow Priests are using Void and Void energies and insanity of the Void in order to get their power. Holy Priests, on the other hand, are basically LIGHTFORGED Draenei, the class, but they are only a healer. So it's very, very opposite. So a Void Elf who is full of Void being a Holy Priest, is that going to be a possibility? Because in terms of lore, that's not really viable. And on the other side of the coin, we have the LIGHTFORGED Draenei that can be priests. Are they not going to be able to play as Shadow? Personally, I could see both of them lore-wise be Discipline Priests. Because Discipline Priests don't seem to be, like, you know, completely committed to the light and subservient of Naru. But they're not quite Shadow Priests that utilize the powers of the Void but try not to listen to the whispers. The way I look at them is they're kind of like a means to an end. They'll use both the light and the dark, but as weapons, not as something to kind of commit themselves to. And the way that Shadow Priests and Holy Priests play, it feels like they're kind of committing and taking a side. Is Blizzard saying that we're not going to be able to have LIGHTFORGED Draenei Shadow Priests? Because if they say, yeah, LIGHTFORGED Draenei cannot be Shadow Priests, then we're having one less spec that we can play, but it kind of makes sense. Same thing with Void Elves. If they cannot be fully Holy Priests, that's one less spec you can play, but it makes a lot more sense compared to them being able to play those specs and it not really making lore-wise sense. But one thing that could explain it a little bit is Nightborn and I guess Orcs in a way. The Nightborn, which we just found in Legion, and we fought them in a raid, now they're going to be joining the Horde, it looks like. Those guys can be Warlocks. And one of the things that they hated, the fact that they are surrounded by Warlocks, entrapped by Warlocks, controlled by Warlocks. So you would think that they wouldn't like Warlocks, but these guys are crafty. They would take the powers of an enemy in order to fight back whatever you need. It's almost like Orcs in Gul'dan. Gul'dan used Warlocky powers to basically obliterate the whole world, become the public enemy #1, but Warlocks and Orcs are still willing to become Warlocks in order to kind of fight fire with fire. So I guess it's a possibility like that, except I just don't know how lore-wise Void Elves and LIGHTFORGED Draenei would work. I mean, I guess if Blizzard says, oh yeah, no, it's okay, yeah, it's fine, Void Elves can be Holy Priests, it's fine, it's okay, for the gameplay purposes. Because otherwise than that, are they gonna be more, yeah, it's okay, we can omit that part of the lore and allow them to play what specs they wanna? Or are they gonna go around the way where, okay, lore-wise they cannot be those specs, so they are not allowed to. It's kind of like a Demon Hunter who can only be a tank or a DPS, and I guess in a sense of for Void Elves, they can be a healer and a DPS. For LIGHTFORGED Draenei, they can only be a healer or a healer, so it takes a spec away from those other classes. Compared to the other ones, Nightborn, as well as the High Mountain Tauren, I don't think there's any class that they cannot be that I can't really see an issue with. I guess only I see an issue with the Void Elves, and only because Blizzard provided us the source material to where I am deriving this conclusion. So I guess my question is, should they? Because Blizzard themselves didn't say who can be, who can't be. I'm just asking you guys, should they? Because lore-wise, Void Elves should not be able to be Holy Priests. You know, summoning a little Naru pet and then just scorching them alive, just looking at them. Same thing as Void Elf or LIGHTFORGED Draenei shouldn't be able to summon the powers of Void and literally just melt in place because Void and Light just collide and then just die to it, I guess. I don't really know how it would work. Unless it would be one of those masochistic things where they're like, oh, the pain feels so good, that what powers me, which would be weird, but I guess it's a possibility. But that's up to you guys. I always had this thought in my mind. I always wanted to make a video on it, and with nothing happening in the game, this is a perfect time for me to put this out. So yeah, let me know in the comments what are your thoughts on that. And as always, if you guys enjoyed this video or this discussion, give it a like. If you don't like it, give this one a like, because this is more of an opinion-based piece anyway. So you guys are more than welcome to, if you don't want to comment, let me know how you feel about it through likes and dislikes. But if you just want my channel to grow as well, giving likes and even dislikes helps the videos grow, so feel free to do whichever one you want to do. Subscribe if you haven't, bell notification to catch the live streams next to the sub button after subbing. Thank you guys so much for the support. The channel is growing exponentially. And again, thanks for watching. I'll see all of you in the next video.